And there we go. A nice pile of rounds has been brought in under the carport next to the 37D, all ready to be split up and added to the Firewood bunker. And there is the pile right there. It ended up being the pile ended up being a little bigger than I thought it would be. I had more rounds bucked up out there in the wood yard than I thought. But this will be good because now I can kind of just work at this. I don't know if you can hear that owl. There's a big owl hooting somewhere behind me. Anyway, I can work at this now at my own pace. If I get a little bit done one day, and then the next day I can finish up the rest, or I don't know, maybe I'll do it all in one day. Maybe I'll do a third, a fourth, a sixth, a half, who knows. But we're gonna add it to the bunker back here, and then I'm gonna continue, once I split all that into a pile here, I'm gonna continue pulling off the pile and tossing it into these totes. I got the other two totes set up right there. Got to get wood in those. I also moved the totes from that were sitting over there. I put one there and one there that I can now also continue stacking a row right here to kind of hold everything in. And yeah, there is going to be a lot of this slash mixed in for starters. But I think what I'll do is, as I continue to pull out and fill these totes, most of that slash that's in here now will kind of get separated out and put on the bottom. And then as I do like the final, once I get the totes full and I do like kind of a final run into the bunker, it's just gonna, I mean, some of that slash is just gonna get mixed in, and that's just the way it's gonna be. So one thing I didn't really think about when I put this bunker together and with my plan for splitting this fall and this winter into it, is that I think I'm gonna have to have as much wood in here as I can. And then, well, it's gonna depend on the snow. When we get snow, how much snow we get, because I'm not gonna wanna have, like, say, you know, the pile gets covered with 4 to 6 inches of snow. After that happens, I'm not gonna wanna then run more wood on top of that snow and have snow like mixed into the center of the pile and kind of like layered in. So I'm gonna have to see what the weather does, but for now, you know, it's just gonna be, get as much in there as I can before the snow flies. And then I might, I'm not sure yet, but I might take that, the canvas from the old carport cover, or the old, not the carport, the Shelter Logic shelter. Amanda and I were folding that up in the beginning here, or beginning of the video, and I might use that to, once I get that thing kind of like either full or once I know it's going to snow, I might then just put that across the top just to keep the snow from going down into the center of the pile throughout the winter. The only downside to that is then during the winter, I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to put any wood that I split. Because like I mentioned in the past, I want to keep everything out of that ditch over there where I usually store my boiler wood. So I'll just have to figure that out once we get to that point. But that's gonna do it. Cleaning up the rounds that were all on the ground. And yes, we took the rounds off the ground and we put them back on the ground because, like I said, that's just gonna work out good to kind of just work through that pile now at my own pace. And that's one of the benefits and the joys of being a hobbyist.